There was no Truth Nigeria. There was no media organizations. And you know what was happening to those people? To Lawrence and Masara Kim and all of them? The journalists sitting in the big capital cities, the big cities and in the capital, who were taking the line from the government and didn't have the courage or the integrity or the professionalism or the character or the motivation to go to those frontline villages. They just bought the line from the government that it wasn't really happening, and they bought the line from the U.S. State Department that this is nomadic tribesmen being forced to move from climate change. The Fulani are not really terrorists. Oh, the fact that they're Muslims got nothing to do with it. Because they're nomadic tribesmen, they're looking for other land. They're looking to go somewhere, and that's forcing them to clash with the Christian villages. Nonsense. That's absolute nonsense. That is just an example to you of how climate has been used as a scam. I mean, it's not just fake, it's much worse than that. All of these systems that are being implemented that are so profoundly dishonest, they're systems of control. How do we control the people, control the information and the narrative, and then have that as cover to do whatever it is that we want to do, which, by the way, is to go into Christian villages and not only annihilate people. I mean, in one of the recent attacks that Truth Nigeria has reported on, putting women and children inside cages in the market and burning them alive. I mean, I was sitting down to dinner in my hometown in Texas one Friday night years ago. My husband was with me. It was when we were trying to get the sound of freedom was being blocked because people didn't want child trafficking to be a conversation everyone was having. And we were doing our best to help get that movie put out. And I got a video. I showed it to my husband as we sat down. He couldn't eat. And it was a young 18-year-old girl from Nigeria who was pulled from one of the villages. And as they were slicing off her head, they were digging her baby out of her tummy. And she was well advanced in pregnancy. That's the reality of what, when you put those numbers up and you go before your colleagues in Congress and you put those numbers forward, that's what it means in human.
All right. Barrister, that was Lara Logan. I don't know if you know her. She's a very popular journalist, multiple award-winning journalist. She's a journalist who has been known over the years for being very credible. She has very strong integrity. She's highly respected. So she is, when she says something, when Lara Logan speaks, you just believe her. Lara Logan don't come out to just say anything. Everybody knows her for that. She doesn't come out. The moment she comes out with, she's a very strong investigative journalist who, whenever she comes out to say anything, people believe her because her integrity has been tested over the years to be pure. And so you heard what she said, how media, what they do, what media does. So the media actually, they are either complicit or indifferent over this genocidal acts. So that is exactly what is happening. The media are covering, we have two types of media. We have the ones that are lazy. I've mentioned last week, I talked about how powerful media is and how lazy, especially the Nigerian journalists are. Some of them are deliberately, intentionally lazy and very, very inept. While there are the ones that are evil, that are intentionally evil, deliberately covering this thing. They actually have the details. They have the clips. They have all the evidences of all these genocides. But they decided to kill the evidences, to bury the evidences. While the other part, who are lazy, who do not want to go to the front line to actually do their work as journalists, they just stay behind, and government officials, the corrupt government officials, the evil government officials comes and tell them what is happening at the front line and probably give them a brand envelope to bribe them. This is the story. This is what happened there. So they just run with that story because they are lazy. They don't want to do the work. So these are the two types of journalists that we have in Nigeria, and that is the problem. This is one of our major problems in Nigeria, and not just in Nigeria, in other climes as well, because the media is being controlled. Like I said, both in Nigeria and globally, the media is being controlled by the evil powers that be, the extreme leftist ideologists, those are the people controlling the media. Those are the people controlling the narrative because they know the power of the media, and that is what is happening. Another set of people that have been so indifferent, I won't say they are not complicit here, but they are indifferent of this genocide going. And these are the people that are supposed to be really, really on the top of this whole thing. These are the people that are supposed to be not only beaming the light on this problem, but they are supposed to be at the front line fighting to end this problem. Who are these people? They are our pastors, our general overseers, our men of God. They are just the men of God, the pastors, the men of God we have these days, the Christian men of God we have these days. My God, they irritate me. They irritate me. They just put. I always put off by their characters and their attitudes and their behaviors, because all they do is luxury. They have forgotten that they are the shepherd, and we are the sheep. But they as the shepherd have not been taking care of the sheep. All they have been doing is fleecing the sheep. They manipulate the sheep. They milk the sheep of the little that the sheep has. That is exactly what they're doing. All they know how to do is how to preach prosperity and how to be rich, how to build synagogues and churches and spiritual houses or whatever in cities. Nobody evangelizes anymore. Nobody goes to the village now to evangelize. Very few people still does that. Olden days, I remember olden days how Christians, how evangelists, missionaries are always scavenging for souls in rural areas. But today, everybody wants to open a church, a building in the city. That's exactly what is happening. Now, they take this money from us, they don't fight for us. Barrister, I don't know. This is shocking to me that we have unbelievers. Somebody like Bill Maher, someone who is not even a Christian, fighting much more for Christians, more than the pastors and the general overseers in Nigeria. Can you imagine that? What an irony. I think it's high time we started protesting against these men of God, because these men of God are useless. They are useless to our country. They are useless to our lives. And that is just the reality. All they do is to live in opulence and affluence. All they do is drive in luxuries, live in luxurious life. That is just all they do. The people, the relevant authorities, the men of God, the media who are supposed to be fighting this cause, who are supposed to be projecting, who are supposed to be giving us this information, excuse me, and holding people accountable by exposing them, are not doing the needful. They are not doing the right thing. Rather, what we have these days are men of God and media personalities who are hobnobbing with the so-called evil men and women that are misruling us and killing Christians. Barrister.
We have to be very clear. This lady, he got the point very, very accurate. It aligns with my knowledge of what happens in Nigeria from the media space and the control of the information that is going out by the government and a few media owners. I remember that one of the things that caused a big problem between former governor of Benue State, Otom, and President Buhari was Otom's attempt to carry out a mass burial of 200 and something people that were killed in one day, women, children, pregnant, 90-year-olds. It was unbelievable. Their houses burnt. He planned to give them a mass burial. He invited international media, CNN, all over the world. It was going to be a big occasion. The government felt that is going to give Nigeria a bad image. And they pleaded with him not to do that. But Otom refused and insisted that that mass burial would be carried out. And that brought him into direct conflict with the president, Buhari, then. He became a pariah. Throughout Buhari's remaining years, he was barred from, as a sitting governor, he was barred from seeing the president. They blocked the government media from covering the occasion. The Nigerian television station, FRCN, everything, public media was barred from covering the occasion. So you can see there has been, the government has at all times sought to have a tight leash on the media, the publicity, the adequate or independent publicity of this, so that they can control the narrative and water down the real truth of happening. And again, we don't have the journalists, maybe one or two, that will go to the scene, capture it and present it as it is. Because it's either the government journalists or a few media, big media organizations that are going to censor what their reporters are bringing for their own sake. So that is the issue. It is now in the social media effect that you can see people posting almost contemporaneously. When if a house is burning now, you see it being posted on social media. Otherwise, you will not get the truth from the media space that is in Nigeria today because of the factors that she had very eloquently laid out. There's no nothing to take away from that. She just spoke the truth, and that is what is there.
Yeah, honestly, that is so sad. Okay, let me, on a different note, we're still on the same topic, but let me play this video. We'll be talking about the involvement of the military in this. So that is what we'll be talking about now. Let me play this clip, then we'll come back to talk about it.
All right, Barrister. Sorry, I can't find. I don't know what's happened to my system. I can't upload the video. But let me play it. So you just on my phone. You just listen to it. It's actually by T.Y. Danjuma. I don't think this video is new. I think I've heard about this before, but it's relevant to what we are discussing right now. Yeah, let me play this. Let me just play. Just listen to it. Oh shit. Okay.
In this an assault in state area. We must resist it. We must have it. Armed forces are not neutral. They collude. They collude. They collude. The armed forces.
Yeah, Barrister, you had that clearly, right? And that was T.Y. Danjuma. Everybody knows, for those of you in Nigerians, I don't think there's any adult who do not know who T.Y. Danjuma is. He was former Minister for Defense and Chief of Army Staff, right? Yes, he was Chief of Army Staff. And was he a Minister for Defense? Yes. During
Obasanjo's time.
Obasanjo, yes, Minister for Defense. Yeah. So you can imagine this is an authority, a general, or for that matter, an authority when it comes to the military. So he knows the nitty-gritty of how military operates. He still have his boys, his people. Although it's been long he left the military, but I bet you he still have some loyalists in the military. So obviously he's getting an intelligent information. There's no doubt he is getting intelligent information. There's no doubt about that. You heard what he said. The military they are not only complicit, they are colluding with the bad actors, with these terrorists. That means they assist them, they work with them to actually actualize this genocide in Nigeria, especially in the north. Barrister, was he telling was he lying?
The General Danjuma has said this very often. It's not, he didn't say it once, he said it repeatedly. And he told people that, look, arm yourselves. Don't wait for the army. The army cannot be relied upon. The army is not neutral. And we know, look, during Buhari's government, when a particular incident happened in Benue, and they sent the army, a lot of people were killed in one night. They sent the army, and the army came and said, look, we were not sent to come and chase the murderers. We were sent to come and keep the peace between two warring factions. They printed posters of the two peasants from the two factions shaking hands. That this is what we were asked to come and do. So, you see, the issue happened to be that the army, in most times you have to recognize that when the army is sent to a particular or for a particular operation, they have their orders. The commanders are given instructions, go there and do this. So it's based on those orders that they are going to carry out, and they are going to report back to their superiors. These instructions you gave us, we have carried out. If the instruction is not to deal with the situation decisively, the situation cannot be dealt with. And that is what happened throughout the 8 years of Buhari's government. And when General T.Y. Danjuma said this when Buhari was in power, it's not now. That statement you said, he said it when Buhari was in power. And that was the hallmark of the army then. And you see the army who had both operational control and ultimate control of the army. I don't know about now, but I saw a video from my own neighboring local government this week, and the people were running and said the army is killing us. It is the army that is killing us. I saw another video in another local government near Makudi where the chief of the area was calling on the government to remove the army, from his place, that the army is complicit.
Yeah,
so these complaints are there throughout. These complaints are there throughout, and they are to be expected. When you see the corruption, the ethnicity, the religious diversity and religious problem created in Nigeria, it's difficult for anybody to say this will not permeate into the army, because the army is also having all these issues. Even though they try to, on the surface, they try to present a united front for the unity of Nigeria. Somebody like T.Y. Danjuma knows, and he should know, and he knows the present position and capacity of the Nigerian army. And that's why he said it. He's not an ignorant person. He's not somebody who is speaking out of any bias or anything. He is one of those who have investment throughout Nigeria. All they want is for a stable Nigeria where people can go about their duties, carry on their business, not to be targeted because of being this or being that. And that is what majority of Nigerians want. We all want that. But the government at all times, they try to play down the actual issues. Because if you do not identify, they tell you that if you can't identify a problem, how can you provide solutions?
Yeah,
and when you identify a wrong problem, the solution will also be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You must understand what the issue is before appropriate solutions can be provided to it. When you deny or try to twist the true fact, the solutions will also not affect. This is the truth in Nigeria. As of today, two factors make it impossible to give full confidence to the army. One, the army is overstretched. I think the army today is deployed in nearly all the 36 states of Nigeria. There's no state that does not have one issue or the other. So the army has been deployed to almost all the 36 states. They don't have the manpower and the equipment to cover 36 states. They don't have.
Yeah, but
the police are not even enough. They are not trained. They are not equipped. So you can't even talk of the police.
All right, Barrister.
Then the other issue of whether personnel of the army are really and truly committed to the unity of Nigeria. That is another issue.
Yeah, they are not. Absolutely. That they are not. That's just the absolute answer. There's no two way about that. No one is that. The Nigerian army are not patriotic. There's no doubt about that. Honestly, they are not. They are not. If they were, we won't be having issues. If they were, the truth is, we won't be having democracy in Nigeria. I'm telling you, they are not patriotic. If they were, they won't be having a Tinubu as a president. If they were, we won't be having this corrupt democratic democracy called democracy in Nigeria. That's just the truth. Because if we had had good military institution in Nigeria, obviously they would have plotted a coup and take over the government, because Nigeria is we are not where we ought to be. We are in a very, very precarious state. That's just the truth. Anyway, let's let me read this article. I don't know if it's a different, but it's on the same. We're still on the same topic, on the same issue, but a kind of relatively different topic. Now, we had earlier in the week, these three francophone Western countries actually came out to threaten that they will be releasing the names of those people that are responsible for sponsoring terrorism in Nigeria, Boko Haram to be precise. Now, we have had this in the past. Even the Vice President Shetima, his name came out sometimes in the past. I think during the Jonathan era, his name came out. What did they do? Of course, they wouldn't do anything, because the people who are supposed to prosecute, who are supposed to take action against the bad actors, they are the bad actors themselves. So you cannot, the prosecutor cannot prosecute itself. That's just the reality, especially in a corrupt system called Nigeria. Now, let me read this news article, just about 2 paragraphs. 2025 report on trafficking in persons in Nigeria. No, okay, this one is a different, sorry. Yeah, okay, this one is from Mali. Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso have said they are preparing to expose the names of prominent Nigerian politicians aiding bandits in the northwestern region of the country. The 3 neighboring nations said they are working on confirming the identities of political figures accused of links with criminal groups in the region. Barrister, and this one again, there is this article that talks about human trafficking. Let me read this 2 paragraphs. 2025 report on trafficking in persons in Nigeria, released by the U.S. Department of State, has made a shocking revelation that the Nigerian government and Borno State government returned several trafficked victims to their Boko Haram husbands, while some were returned to their traffickers. Barrister, I think this is what we really need to on this topic. This is exactly what we need to focus on. Honestly, did you understand what I just read now? Did you hear clearly that Nigerian government and Borno State government returned several trafficked victims to their Boko Haram husbands, while some of the trafficked victims were returned to their traffickers? The rescue traffickers. Nigeria and Borno State government rescue traffickers. These traffickers, instead of them to return these traffickers to their parents, to their homes, respective homes, they didn't do that. They returned these traffickers. Some of them, they returned them to Boko Haram, and the rest, the other part, they returned them to where they rescued them from, back to their traffickers. Barrister, this is U.S. reports. These are not, when they say government, not just individuals. Nigerian government, Borno State and Nigerian government did this, or they are doing it. Barrister, this is unbelievable. This is really, really irritating and annoying, infuriating. I don't know. At what point will we Nigerians say enough is enough? That our leaders, this trafficking of humans, especially minors, that has become a global menace, that people are trying to really fight. Nigerian government and the state government that are supposed to be fighting this are the ones being found complicit in this, are the ones supporting it, sponsoring it. I don't understand. You rescued vulnerable, trafficked victims. Instead of taking them back home to their respective homes, you return them back to their traffickers and took the rest half to Boko Haram. Barrister, what can you describe this?
Well, I must confess that that news is not yet public news in Nigeria, because I'm hearing it for the first time. What we heard was a bit different, but one, it is outrageous in the list, and it brings out further questions or more questions. If you return somebody, a traffic person, to a Boko Haram person, it means you know where the Boko Haram is.
We know, we all know that they know.
And the Boko Haram are still operating. So why are they being allowed to operate? Secondly, a lot of people, because of the general insecurity, there is something like kidnapping has become a franchise. Some people constitute themselves into groups and kidnap people. When they demand for money, if the family are unable to pay, they sell the kidnapped victims to Boko Haram. Boko Haram pays them for the ones they want to take away. Some are children, so that they can train them. They can arm them. They can make them fighters for Boko Haram. Others are the ones that are women. They can marry off and collect money into other neighboring countries, not just in Nigeria. So if you are able to, this is pure evil and pure criminality. If you are able to bring or rescue these people, the only thing that you follow is a very delicate investigation to apprehend both the traffickers and the persons who these people ended up with, whether they were sold or put into slavery, so that they can be punished. It is outrageous. In fact, I cannot even conceive of it that a rescued person is returned to his trafficker. Then why did you put all the effort in rescuing the person? Even if, look, there were some Boko Haram, for instance, Leah Sharibu is still in Boko Haram custody more than 10 years after. There were some of the girls who were taken from Chibok school that were married 2-3 times, different people in Boko Haram captivity. They gave birth to different children for different Boko Haram people. Some of them, when they were released, we heard that when they were released, they became objects of this thing.
Brainwash.
No, objects of ridicule and this thing in the communities.
Yeah.
The sympathy that the community should have given to them and rehabilitated them, they did not get. So they found it better to go back to their supposed
I read that report.
husbands, whom they already have children with. And that can only be because the government failed to properly rehabilitate them. At the beginning, when these children were kidnapped, some of them that were released at the initial stage, some of them were sent to US and other countries for education by way of rehabilitation. But in the normal Nigerian way, it is for showmanship. After that, the rest, they didn't bother about them. So when you are a girl of 16 years, sold off or kidnapped and given to a Boko Haram, married off, you have children, two, another one marries you, that one dies, you marry another one. Over a period of close to 10 years, your adulthood as a woman is spent in that captivity, in that environment. And then you come back. It's the equivalent of what used to happen in the US when a white woman was captured by Indians and stayed there with the native Indian communities for a long time. Eventually, she is released, but the community don't used to rehabilitate her. She is an object of ridicule. It's something similar. But it is not self-induced. You didn't cause it.
Yeah, honestly.
We should have running and ongoing programs by the government, psychological rehabilitation, whatever educational, of all the rescued people.
All right.
It should be ahead of.
Yeah, okay.
That
can you
says, I want to go back.
Can you
I want to go back to these people. The government should prevent it as a matter of policy.
Yeah, but unfortunately, this is again, like you said, it's evil. Evil. This epitomizes evil at the highest level. This is government. The report, the U.S. report says government, not individuals, not real traffickers. These are governments that are directly involved in doing this nonsense. What is your take?
Just let me just add that even if the victim says, I want to go back, the policy should be to prevent it, because nobody should be made to benefit from evil and criminality.
Honestly. Barrister, then what can you comment on this Mali, these three francophone countries, Niger, Mali,
yes,
and Burkina Faso?
We are eagerly waiting for the release of the name. We already heard that a prominent northern senator is among the list, but no name has been put out. The whole country is eagerly waiting for such news to come out. Remember, right from Jonathan's time, we kept hearing that prominent people were sponsoring Boko Haram. Up to today, from Jonathan to Buhari to now, but no government has been able to come out and release the names of the prominent sponsors of Boko Haram.